All right, guys, welcome back to the Fantasy Basketball Trash Talk channel. In this episode, we're going to do a Week 5 mega preview. We're going to be talking about who to add, who to drop, who your trade target should be. We'll go through the schedule, and I'll give some of my thoughts on where we should be 5 weeks into the season. Okay, let's first start off by talking about who to stream and who to add. We got a weird schedule this week with pretty much everyone's roster going to be chocked full on Monday and Wednesday. You can check out #basketball.com. They have this really great schedule tool. They're not a sponsor. It's just a tool that I love to use. And you'll see here that Monday and Wednesday, there's 11 games, okay? That means that your true streaming days are going to be really Tuesday, Thursday, and Sunday. Prioritizing teams that have those rare Tuesday, Thursday games is how you're going to be able to get extra games played. So because of that, the Golden State Warriors and the LA Clippers have the best schedule. They have a true 3 games in 4 games played. 3 games in 4 days played. Otto Porter Jr. I was looking at the rankings for this week and I was like, how? This dude's like ranked 105 to 110 depending on your rankings. And like he just does nothing well. Like he doesn't have a single skill where you're like, oh wow, he's really doing that well. But he also does nothing bad. The guy has almost no turnovers, shoots both percentages really well, gives you a little bit of threes, he just does a little bit of everything. And he's going to be having the best schedule this week. So if you're in a 12-team, 14-team league and Otto Porter Jr. is there, go ahead and snap him up today or tomorrow. You're going to get a full stream out of him. Deep leagues. If you're in a 12-team, 14, 16-team league, man, I'd really keep an eye on Fred VanVleet's injury status, and I'd be looking at Goran Dragic. He had 1 game as a starter, and he looked like easy top 80, top 90 value. In fact, the game was actually better than that, but you just have to assume a little bit of variance. But keep an eye on Toronto Raptors looking to showcase Goran Dragic ahead of a potential trade. Kilian Hayes. If you're in punt field goal percentage, I'm definitely adding Kilian Hayes this week just to see if that borderline triple-double that he put up, like, is that going to be something that can stay, right? This is a guy who has a lot of opportunity and a lot of talent. They like playing him in 2-guard rosters along with Cade Cunningham. I don't think that usage is going to be an issue necessarily. It's about, can he make shots? Nasir Little, check him out. If you're a newer player, if you're a 10-team league, you probably don't need to add Nasir Little. But if you're playing standard, check out Nasir Little. Per minutes, he's an absolute monster. And anytime that you're adding a per minutes monster that's worth owning now, the potential for Nurkic or the potential for Robert Covington to have a small injury, and now Nasir Little's minutes go up from 18, 20, 22 to 28, 32. Now you're holding yourself potentially a top 50 player if that per minute production holds. So I'm looking at Nasir Little. Terrence Mann, okay? Now, there are some players that have just unlimited potential. And Terrence Mann is one of those players, okay? With Kawhi out for the entire year, the Clippers are looking for players who can step up. Terrence Mann famously stepped up last year in the playoffs with, I believe, I didn't look this up for the video, but I think it was a 40-point game. He had just a monster game, monster series, and he basically single-handedly helped lift them over the Jazz, okay? Terrence Mann is going to be given a lot of opportunities. The Clippers have a great schedule this week. Giving him another week to try to figure out if you don't have the spot to hold him underperforming, this is a week that you can stream him, get a free look at him, and think, man, is this guy someone that I can own long term? Okay, let's look at the drops. Malik Beasley. I don't think that there's a way for Beasley to get value without an injury happening. And his per production, if you're holding on to Malik Beasley, waiting for someone to get injured, he's just not really helping you in the interim. He doesn't do enough defensively. He doesn't do enough with assists. He's a scorer that doesn't get touches. So you're basically holding not a dead slot. He's giving you some production, but you're holding a negative slot, a slot that could be better, waiting for someone to get hurt. I like to hold guys that are at value or slightly above value before the players ahead of them get hurt, like Nasir Little we just looked at in the other slide. With Malik Beasley, I think there's better value out there that you can be getting. Now, if you're in a 20-team league, go ahead and hold Malik Beasley, but anything other than that, I'm dropping him. Isaac Okoro, just a drop, stone cold drop. I own 6 Rubios in my 10 cash league, so I've watched a lot of Cavs games, and I just don't see it. I don't see anything with Okoro that I don't see the skill. I see the athleticism, but he's kind of undersized. I don't get it. TJ Warren, goodbye. Goodbye. And I'm going to explain this more in 2 slides from now, but I'll just tell you why to drop TJ Warren. Besides being injury prone, the best case scenario is this dude is coming back in January. The odds that you have that you don't have another player get hurt between now and January are basically 0. Your injured reserve spot, if you have it, is definitely going to need to be used for something better. Go ahead and cut TJ Warren, get away from that. Here's one that I'm really struggling with. So I have been trying to decide if I want to cut Brook Lopez all week. It's been all week 4 has been, do I want to cut Brook Lopez? I'll show you guys my teams real quick. I'm playing in 10 cash leagues, okay? I don't know if it shows you the amount of money I have in each one. Let me see. I might do this as a separate video. Let's see. Click on fantasy. It's not loading. I'm going to do it in a different one. I'm in 10 cash leagues. I played 3,000. There's another video I have on my channel that tells you. I'm in leagues that are as cheap as 100. I'm in a lot of leagues that are like 250, 300. I'm in one league that's 1,000, okay? I have Brook Lopez in one league. I am winning either 8 or 9 out of 10 of my weeks this week. So it's been a pretty good week for me. And the 2 losses that I'll probably have are going to be 4-5s. So Brook Lopez is in a situation where he's been a dead roster slot for me because my IR is being held. And I'm asking myself, like, is Brook Lopez worth potentially losing a point or 2 for another 2 or 3 weeks? And that team I have is in like 6th place, and it's a heavy punt. It's a triple punt team. I'll be honest, guys. I don't think Brook Lopez is a hardcore drop, but if you don't have an IR slot and if you find yourself out of the playoffs, they're not even giving updates on his status. He was the 85th best player last year. I like Brook a lot. He's really rare. If you're a punt assist steal player, you probably have to hold on to him. If you're not a punt assist steal, man, this might be the week. Week 5 might be the week that I drop Brook Lopez, but it's right on the line. Tell me what your thoughts are. Is Brook Lopez a drop, or do you hold him if he's costing you games played? Now, I'm not saying drop Brook Lopez if you have an IR slot, but if Brook Lopez is holding a dead roster spot, are you dropping him yet? I don't know. I'm right on the edge there. Players to target via trade, okay? I'm just going to keep saying this every video. If Ben Simmons is on a team that's losing, if Ben Simmons is holding a roster spot or the owner of Ben Simmons doesn't have an extra IR, target them, okay? There are people that go, I have an IR slot, I'll stash Ben Simmons on. And then another one of their players gets hurt. And then another one of their players gets hurt. And suddenly Ben Simmons is costing them the difference between winning their week 5-4 and losing like 3-6. See if you can get some cheap Ben Simmons. Now remember, Ben Simmons is not going to get traded until probably after December 15th at the earliest. So right now, that's at least another month of holding that. So make sure you have the room that you can stomach the Ben Simmons trade. You don't want to end up looking just like the asshole you traded with, and now you have too many people on your IR. Michael Porter Jr.'s value will never be lower than it is right now. Send some lowball offers, right? Don't insult the owner, but I traded Tyrese Maxey for Michael Porter Jr. this week. I love it. Maxey's incredible. He's a sell high. I have 5 Maxies in my 10 leagues. It's time to divest. Nerlens Noel has been hurt. It looks like it hasn't been any serious injuries, though. It's just been like knee soreness, right? Nothing that is super scary. He doesn't really have a history of it. I think his value is probably at an all-time low. If you're in any kind of punt 3 build or punt points build or punt free throw build, he's a monster, top 20 player. Make an offer. Kevin Porter Jr., if you're punting free throws or turnovers or considering punting them, might be worth a buy low, right? He hasn't really been able to put anything together. A lot of his owners are going to be frustrated. Try it. See what you can get, right? Don't be emotionally attached to it. But these are players that I'm looking at getting in a couple of my leagues. Week 5 thoughts. Look at the rankings, okay? Play the person, not the players. What do I mean by that? Well, you got 2 players that are valued at but let's say they're both in the 70s, right? Usually those 2 players would be worth the same thing. But if you look at the rankings and one guy's in 11th place and he's losing week 4, week 5, he's starting to get nervous. He's like, I got to do something. I got to pull the trigger. He might be willing to overplay. He might be vulnerable to being trade taken advantage of, okay? Don't really worry about the rankings. Like, I start the player rankings. Worry about the league rankings, right? I am a predator. I'm not a good guy when it comes to fantasy. First of all, I'm going to be smarter than you in the draft. I'm going to have a really good draft. My teams are going to be in a good position. Then I'm going to be patient. I'm going to wait. And then when I see that your team is struggling, I'm going to make you an offer. Now, if you're that guy who's struggling, hold strong. If you're in the top 4 seeds right now, look for some people to pick on. And don't be mean about it. You're the helping hand. Hey, buddy, I noticed you got a lot of players in COVID protocols. Let me take one of those guys off you so you can win week 5, so you can win week 6. You don't give a shit about week 5 or week 6. You're a top 4 seed. You care about that ring, baby. You want that ring. All right. I've been talking about trading for injured players and taking advantage of weaker teams, but if you're in the 1, 2, 3 seed right now and it's already week 4, man, think about going for that 1 seed. Most leagues give a bye. That means you don't have to play in the first round if you're a 1 seed or a 2 seed. That's so powerful. And the first few years that I played fantasy, I didn't really understand that. A bye means that you can look at who your opponent's going to be, use your ad drops to make your team perfectly fit the schedule and the opponent. It not only keeps you from having to play a week where you could lose, taking you from 1 out of 6 chance of winning the playoffs to 1 out of 4 just by getting that 1 seed. But if you can stack the deck, odds are a lot of times just to beat that first round matchup, your opponent has to drop some good players. You can scoop them back up. That 1 seed is powerful. That 2 seed is powerful. Think about going for that top 2 seed if you can. It can be more valuable than a Ben Simmons late in the season. Leave an IR slot open. Okay, what do I mean by that? I don't mean just leave it open. I mean when you're evaluating trades, let's say you have 2 IR slots or 3 IR slots. Don't go, oh, I want to put good players. Don't go, oh, I can make this trade, and now I have LeBron and Ben Simmons and TJ Warren on my IR. Well, guess what's going to happen? All those players are going to be on your IR for several weeks. That means the next player you have in COVID protocols, you're cutting someone. So if you're trading for an injured player and it's maxing out your IR, it's just a matter of time before another one of your players gets hurt. So guys that are good to hold on that IR are players like Kobe White or Kevin Love, players that are basically waiver wire fodder. That way, if one of your good players gets hurt, you can just cut them. Don't put 3 good players or 2 good players in your IR, max it out, and then get Pikachu faced. Oh, I'm so surprised. Oh, no, I have to cut someone. Yeah, leave that slot open in your head for putting a high-value must-roster player. Okay, week 6 is the time to execute punt trades. So we're starting week 5. If you're not moving into your punt, we're kind of getting close to the time where you should be doing that. There's enough data now. Middle of week 6, we're going to be like 25, 30% of the way through the season. You're going to be able to know who's good in your punt and who isn't, okay? So start targeting trades that are mostly even except they fit your punt. And the more of those you can do, the more you will win. Okay, guys, don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have any questions, you want me to roast your team, go ahead and throw it in the comments. I'll talk to you guys later. Have a great day, and let's all have a fucking great week 5.